Welcome back to the layout. Today we're going over the new benchwork and we're going to be mounting the foam. So as you can see, we are no longer using that pre-made table. Turns out my sister wanted it, so instead of me using it for a railroad, I decided, you know what, this gives me an ample opportunity to sort of normalize the size of it. So it is now exactly 1 foot by 4 foot instead of 8 inches by like 47 inches. Now, this benchwork was made yesterday. I went back to my parents' house because I don't actually have any tools at my new house yet, outside of the standard drills, levels, stuff to mount, generic household stuff. So we went there, we designed this. Now, it's not gonna be your standard benchwork. See, this benchwork is designed to occupy as little space as possible while also being DC. So if we can go ahead and move you down here, you can see it's got that shelf that was iconic to the original. Now this is going to be storage where my electronics go, sort of anything that doesn't belong on the layout will be under the layout. Now let's get into mounting the foam and trying to get some track so we can get trains running again. All right, now let's just go ahead and let this dry. One thing I did notice, so if we go drop you down here, there is an overhang. Come to find out, this I bought this board pre-cut. It was a 1 foot by 4 foot board. Well, it's actually 11 inches by 4 foot. So there's gonna be a little overhang. I'm not too worried about it, but yeah, be careful, double check your measurements when you buy pre-cut boards. All right, so we got the track back on the layout. The foam is fully secured, and now we're just gotta mark out the track. We're gonna actually do some measurements to make sure that the parts that have the concrete are straight as possible, so I can just use a straight edge. I don't have to do any trimming or anything when I go to put the concrete in. We're currently waiting on a set of calipers to show up because I'm gonna go ahead and measure the roadbed, the tie, and the rails, just so I can get the correct measurements when I go to put, I'm gonna put cork down next to the roadbed here, which will serve as a foundation, which then I'm gonna put styrene on top of as the concrete. Now, I did go ahead and pick up some Woodland Scenics concrete top coat. I'm gonna try this out. I saw some stuff online on how to make it look really good, so I've got a couple more supplies coming for that. Additionally, if we go over here, I bought some Woodland Scenics track painter. I'm gonna try this out. I know most people just hand paint it with a brush. I don't have that kind of patience or steady hand. So I'm gonna try this out first. If this doesn't look good, then I will hand paint the track. And then I got this one here. This is for road stripes. I'm gonna use this because I did in fact get the modern 150 foot highway overpass. We're gonna build this, we're gonna do some painting. The girders, I'm gonna paint like a burgundy red, which is kind of prototypical for some of the bridges that you see, at least in the area that I'm at, which is sort of in the area that I'm modeling, but not exactly. So I'm gonna probably paint the girders like a burgundy red color, or blue. It's the other color that's usually seen. Additionally, I have a few other paint supplies. I did end up just going with the Cork ballast. Hopefully that'll hide any imperfections, because I don't actually know how to ballast. I've seen a few tutorials, so hopefully it turns out okay, but I ended up just getting this just to hide any sort of weirdness that it would normally have if you missed pieces. Originally I did get a darker ballast, but I'm just gonna go with this, and I'll use weathering powders later, which I do also have on order, to try to blend it all together. All right, so let's go ahead and get a pencil out. Let's trace the track. Let's mark all the places I need to drill holes to run the wires through, and make sure that this is all measured up. I'm gonna do that off camera because it's gonna take me a while, and no reason to bore you with that kind of stuff. All right, so we got the track all marked out. We're gonna drill the holes for the wires, and we're gonna get the track sort of permanently in place with the wires, make sure it's all straight, and then we'll go ahead and start the gluing process. And just like that, the layout is back on the board. It's got its wires ran through. I haven't hooked anything up yet. I'm gonna hit it with a quick dusting. I've tried to vacuum while I was drilling the holes. I'm gonna hit it with a quick duster. I'm gonna wire it up, and then we're gonna run some trains. Now, one thing you will notice, the engine shed's gone. I wasn't quite happy with the design. It didn't match the theme that I was going for, so I'm going to actually scratch build my own shed for it. I'm still debating if I wanna make it a single track shed or a double track shed. I'm tempted to make it a single track shed and make the track to the right sort of just a storage track before it gets put into the shed for actual work. But we'll see how that goes. I do want to start getting sort of just the rest of it set up. I want to start doing some scenery, preferably on the closer end of the layout, because that side still has some stuff that needs to be done to it. I'm debating on leaving that far track right there unscenic in case I want to extend the layout further. Which would require, unfortunately, me taking this entire shelf off and moving it 4 feet back towards the door, which there's not a ton of room. I may be able to get away with it. We'll see how this side of the layout does first before I start working on that. I also want to get sort of used to painting and stuff before I start getting into the scratch building. All right, let's get this wired up. Let's get some trains on there and make sure everything still works. All right, let's fire it up and see if she works. It's a good first sign. We're gonna just run this car over into the maintenance facility area here. That should test pretty much every connection. We're gonna just go ahead and bring her over here. Switch, gotta remember which ones I did here. Let's make sure there's no issues with the electrical. Sorry if you can see my shadow there. I do need to put lighting on this layout as well, which I'll do probably pretty far into the future. Okay, let's go ahead and should be this one, that one, and that's good. Let's go ahead and run it forward again. Straight into the engine facility. All right, we'll go ahead and just pick this up here. There you go. So the wiring is all done. Ignore the rat's nest that's down there. I will actually be, properly wiring this up, but there we go. The layout is in its permanent home. The wiring is done. The last thing that I have to do is just glue the track down. Once again, I'm gonna double check, make sure everything's straight, and then we can begin the next phase. Thank you guys for stopping by. Next time we will be doing some measurements, probably laying some cork down for the concrete, weathering the rails, and getting ready to begin the scenery process. Again, thanks for stopping by. This is Benchwork Ballast, and we'll see you next time.